Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into the world of Jure Leskovec,
Oh, yeah, this should be good.
AI and data science whiz.
That's putting it lightly.
We're using AIVIPs.org to guide us,
Right.
and let me tell you, this guy's work is mind-blowing.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine figuring out how everything connects in these massive systems like, social networks.
Right.
Or even predicting how a virus spreads.
Yeah, that's Leskovec's bread and butter.
It really is. And the best part,
What's that?
he didn't just stay in that academic bubble.
Nope. He took that knowledge and made it real.
Exactly. He's worked with LinkedIn, Pinterest, you name it.
Applying network science to the real world?
Okay, so let's rewind to the beginning.
Sure.
Leskovec, he started in Slovenia, right?
You did, yeah.
Had that early spark for computer science.
Always loved it from the very beginning. Went to the University of Ljubljana.
Okay.
Got a super solid base in all the essentials, computer science, math, stats.
It makes sense.
But the real turning point,
I'm listening.
his move to Carnegie Mellon for his PhD.
Ah, Carnegie Mellon.
Legendary for computer science.
Oh, absolutely. So what happened there?
That's where he dove headfirst into network science.
I see.
Had an amazing mentor, too.
Who was that?
Christos Faloutsos.
Okay, yeah.
Huge name in the field.
Wow, so he had the best of the best guiding him.
Yeah, and Leskovec's doctoral dissertation all about the dynamics of large networks.
So he was already tackling the big stuff back then.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Mapping out all those connections in a giant social network.
I can barely keep up with my own.
Right. Or imagine, understanding how a virus jumps from person to person.
That's a lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, that's the kind of complexity he was dealing with.
Mind-blowing stuff.
Yeah.
So from there, he went on to Stanford.
Exactly. Another AI powerhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And at Stanford, research continued, teaching a new generation of data scientists, really shaping the field.
Stanford. That's like the epicenter of AI innovation. So what kind of projects was he involved in there?
Well, one of the biggest things was creating SNP,
SNAP.
the Stanford Network Analysis Project.
Okay. What is that?
It's basically a huge toolbox
I like tools.
for anyone working with big data networks, researchers, companies, everyone. And it's open source, too.
So he was all about sharing his knowledge, making it available to everyone.
It was making a real impact. And, that's a big theme in his career.
I'm sensing a pattern here. So from Stanford, where did he go?
He went to industry, became the chief scientist at LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Talk about a massive network.
Right. And there he helped create something called the economic graph.
What's that?
It's this model of the global workforce built using all of LinkedIn's data.
Oh, wow.
Super powerful for understanding job trends, the whole economy, really.
So he was using his skills to analyze the world of work.
Basically, yeah. It's like a map of the entire professional world.
Seriously impressive. Okay, so after conquering the professional world, what did he do next?
Well, he co-founded a startup called Kose,
Kose, what did they do?
specialized in recommendation engines.
Those things that suggest stuff you might like.
Yep. Products, movies, even people you might want to connect with.
Right, like those people you may know suggestions on Facebook.
Exactly.
Or how Spotify always seems to know what music I'm in the mood for.
That's the magic of recommendation engines.
So was Leskovec like the brains behind all that?
He played a key role, absolutely. And his work at Kose was so good that Pinterest came knocking.
Pinterest acquired his company. That's interesting. What does network science have to do with Pinterest?
Think about it. Pinterest is all about connections.
Connections.
Between users, their interests, the images they pin.
It's like a giant web of inspiration.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Leskovec's expertise was all about making sense of that web, making Pinterest's recommendations even smarter.
I get it now. So whether it's social networks or the job market, Leskovec's been there using network science to understand how everything connects. This is already blowing my mind, and we're just getting started. But let's pause here and dive a little deeper into the science itself.
Sure.
What exactly is network science? And how does it apply to real-world problems?
So network science is about uncovering hidden patterns.
Hidden patterns, like a detective.
Kind of, yeah. It's about seeing how things are connected and how they influence each other within these vast networks.
Okay.
These networks could be social connections, the spread of information, even biological systems.
It's like a way of looking at the world as this giant web of interconnected things.
Precisely.
I like it. But can you give me some real-world examples of how it's actually used?
Let's take social media. Network science can pinpoint the big influencers on Twitter or Facebook.
The ones with millions of followers.
Exactly. It can even predict which marketing campaigns might go viral, or, on a more serious note, track how misinformation spreads.
So it's not just about mapping connections. It's about using that knowledge to make predictions, solve problems.
Exactly. And that's what makes Leskovec's work so important. He's not just a theorist. He's putting these ideas into action.
He's making a difference.
Okay.
This is incredible. It sounds like his work has the potential to change the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And from what we've discussed so far, I have a feeling he's just getting started.
You're telling me.
His work has opened up a whole new way of seeing the world, and the possibilities seem endless.
They really are, and we're just scratching the surface. It's fascinating, isn't it?
Totally. How Leskovec takes these complex ideas and turns them into solutions.
Right. And, it all comes back to his commitment to making this knowledge accessible.
Oh, yeah. Like we talked about before with SME, that open source toolbox he created.
Yeah. Talk about impact.
It's a perfect example, making his work available to the world.
It really is. And think about it. People all over the world using SNAP to solve real problems.
I bet. What kind of problems are we talking about?
Well, think about disease outbreaks. Researchers using SNAP to model how diseases spread.
Oh, wow. That's important work.
It is super important. And using it to pinpoint, the key individuals for interventions,
To stop the spread, I guess.
Exactly. Even simulating the effects of different public health policies.
That's wild. So it's like having a way to predict and control these outbreaks.
In a way, yeah. Leskovec's work, it's helped create these really sophisticated models.
That take into account how we actually interact, right?
Exactly. It's not just about the virus itself. It's about the social networks that help it spread.
So how we connect with each other matters.
Big time. And this applies to so much more than just disease outbreaks.
I bet. Give me some more examples.
Sure. SNAP's been used to analyze social media trends, understand the human brain even.
The brain.
Seriously.
Yeah. And even design better transportation systems.
Wow. So it's like a Swiss Army knife for understanding complex networks.
It kind of is. It shows how powerful network science can be. And Leskovec made it possible for others to use it.
That's pretty awesome. Okay, so SNAP is this incredible tool.
But I want to go a bit deeper into Leskovec's own research. What specific problems has he tackled using network science?
Well, one area he's really focused on is fighting misinformation online.
That's a big one. Misinformation spreading like wildfire on social media these days.
Yeah, it's a serious problem. And Leskovec has actually developed algorithms to analyze how it spreads.
So, like tracking it down, figuring out where it's coming from?
That's the idea. Identifying those potential sources and predicting what might go viral,
So using network science to understand misinformation and hopefully stop it in its tracks.
That's the goal. It could even help social media companies remove that false content.
That would be amazing. And it ties back to what we talked about earlier, his work with recommendation engines.
Right. Understanding how things spread, good or bad.
It's all connected.
It really is. Connecting people to jobs, suggesting products they might like, even stopping harmful stuff from spreading. It's all about understanding those networks.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've talked about disease outbreaks, misinformation. But what about something like urban planning? Can network science help with that?
Absolutely. Think about a city as a giant network. People, buildings, transportation, all connected.
So it's like the city's a living, breathing network.
Exactly. And network science helps us understand how all those parts interact.
To do what? Make it better.
To make it better, yeah.
Yeah.
Like optimize traffic flow, design better public transportation, plan for sustainability.
So using network science to make cities smarter, basically.
Exactly. And Leskovec's work has laid the foundation for a lot of this research. He's shown us how to tackle these big challenges.
It's incredible to think about the potential. And it sounds like he's not stopping there.
Oh, no, not at all. Always looking ahead.
What's next for him? What's he excited about in the future of AI?
One of the big things is graph neural networks.
Graph neural networks, what are those?
They take network analysis to a whole new level, combining the power of deep learning with, the ability to analyze those complex relationships.
So it's like network science on steroids.
You could say that. Think about it. Predicting the properties of new molecules.
How is that even possible?
Based on their network structure, right? Personalizing medical treatments based on a patient's genetic network.
That sounds like science fiction.
I know, right? And even creating new materials with very specific properties.
This is mind-blowing. So Leskovec's leading the charge on all this.
He's definitely at the forefront.
Yeah.
He's got that expertise in both network science and machine learning.
It's the perfect combination. And what about AI for climate change? We talked about that earlier. How can his work help there?
Well, climate change is this huge, complex problem.
So many factors involved.
Exactly. And Leskovec's expertise in modeling complex systems could be really valuable.
For understanding the impacts, coming up with solutions.
Yeah, predicting what's going to happen and figuring out how to deal with it. AI could be a key part of the solution.
It's amazing to think about. It's not just about building smarter machines, right?
No, it's about using our intelligence to solve these big problems we're facing.
Using AI for good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Leskovec's work embodies that. He's not just pushing the boundaries of what's possible technically.
He's using it to make the world a better place.
That's the key. And that brings us to AI for social good.
Yeah. We've seen how Leskovec's work has touched on areas that can really make a difference.
Absolutely.
Let's explore that more. How can AI be used to tackle those challenges and improve lives?
That's the big question a lot of researchers are asking, and Leskovec's work is a great example. We talked about his contributions to fighting disease, combating misinformation.
Right.
But think about healthcare. AI can analyze medical images, help with diagnosis, even develop personalized treatments.
Like an AI doctor.
Kinda, yeah. And it's not just healthcare. AI can improve education, reduce poverty, promote sustainability.
Well, those are some big goals. But how can AI actually do all that?
Take education. AI can create these personalized learning platforms.
Tailored to each student.
Yeah, that's the idea. Adapting to their needs, their learning style. It could even free up teachers from administrative stuff.
So they can spend more time actually teaching.
Exactly. And with poverty, AI can help identify those who need the most help.
To make those programs more effective.
Exactly. And even track the impact, make sure they're actually working.
So cool. And what about sustainability? How can AI help us there?
It can optimize energy use, reduce waste, develop new energy sources.
Wow, like saving the planet with AI.
We could try. It can even monitor and protect endangered species.
Amazing.
And even educate people about sustainability, encourage them to make better choices.
It's like AI can be a powerful tool for a healthier planet.
It definitely could. But we also got to think about the potential risks,
Right. Every coin has two sides. We can't just focus on the excitement without considering the downsides.
Absolutely. So, what are some things we should be cautious about?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is jobs.
Yeah.
Could AI lead to job losses?
It's a valid concern. As AI gets smarter, it can automate tasks that humans used to do.
Leading to job losses in certain fields, I guess.
Yeah, potentially. And we got to be proactive about this, investing in education and training to help people adapt.
So people can learn new skills and stay relevant.
Exactly. We might even need to consider things like universal basic income to support those who lose their jobs.
That's a big shift. But it sounds like we need to be prepared for the changes AI is going to bring.
We do. And another risk is the potential for misuse. Using AI for harmful purposes.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, as AI gets more powerful, think about autonomous weapons.
AI-controlled weapons. That's terrifying.
Right. Or spreading misinformation more effectively, even manipulating people.
It's like something out of a science fiction movie. We need to be careful.
We do. Strong ethical guidelines, regulations, that's key.
So it's not just about the technology. It's about how we choose to use it.
Exactly. We got to make sure AI is used for good.
Okay, so we've talked about the amazing potential of AI for social good, but we also need to be aware of these potential risks.
For sure. It's a balancing act.
We talked about job displacement and misuse, but are there any other downsides?
Well, another big one is bias. Bias in AI systems.
Bias, like how?
If the AI is trained on data that's biased, it can actually make discriminatory decisions.
So if the data reflects real-world prejudices, the AI will just learn those same prejudices.
Exactly, even if that wasn't the intention. So we need to address bias in the data itself and in the algorithms.
So it's about building fairness into the very core of these systems.
That's the goal. And researchers are working on fairness-aware algorithms,
Algorithms that are designed to be more equitable.
Exactly.
What are some ways researchers are trying to make that happen?
Well, one approach is being really careful about the data used to train the AI.
Making sure it's diverse and representative, right?
Yeah, that's it. So if you're building a facial recognition system, you need to make sure it's trained on faces from all different ethnicities, genders, ages.
To avoid those biases creeping in.
Right. And another strategy is designing algorithms specifically to be fair unbiased.
So incorporating fairness into the whole process.
Exactly. It's a tough challenge, but an important one. If we want AI to be a force for good, we need to get this right.
No doubt about it. This deep dive has been incredible. Learning about Jure Leskovec, his work, the impact of network science.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right?
Totally. It's given us a whole new way of looking at the world.
And Leskovec's work, it's been key to showing us how to apply it to these real-world problems.
He's a true pioneer in the field. But, as we discussed, the rise of AI, it brings challenges too.
Definitely, we can't ignore those.
It's a powerful technology. We need to make sure it's used responsibly, ethically.
Absolutely. So, where do we go from here? What's next for Leskovec, for the whole field of AI?
Good question. The future seems wide open. What are your thoughts?
Oh man, the possibilities are endless. We talked about some of the trends like those graph neural networks and AI for climate change, but there's so much more out there.
It's exciting, isn't it? It feels like we're on the verge of something truly revolutionary.
Totally. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's step back for a second and think about the big picture.
Okay, big picture time. What does Leskovec's work tell us about the role of AI in society?
I think it shows us that AI can be an amazing force for good.
Helping us understand the world, solve problems, create a better future.
That's it. But it also reminds us that we got to be careful, deliberate about how we develop them.
It's not just about the tech itself, it's about our choices.
Exactly. We got to make sure AI benefits everyone, not just a select few. That's the key takeaway here.
I agree. And, before we wrap up this part, I want to go back to something we touched on earlier. The potential for AI to be misused.
Yeah, that's a big one.
We talked about autonomous weapons, spreading misinformation. Are there other threats we should be thinking about?
Well, one that's becoming really important is surveillance. Using AI for social control.
Surveillance. That's scary.
It is, and it's a real possibility.
How could that actually play out? Give me some examples.
Imagine facial recognition being used to track people's every move.
That's creepy.
Or AI systems predicting who might commit a crime and punishing them before they even do anything.
That sounds like something out of a dystopian novel.
It does, doesn't it? But it's a real concern. We need strong regulations to prevent that.
So it all comes back to how we choose to use this technology.
It does, yeah. We got to make sure it's used for good, not for oppression.
That's a powerful message. Okay, we've covered so much ground in this part of our deep dive, from those fascinating applications of network science to the potential of AI for good, and, of course, the challenges we need to address.
It's been a whirlwind, hasn't it?
Totally. But we're not done yet. In the final part, we'll be looking ahead to the future of AI and network science.
The future.
Talking about the big trends, the key players, the exciting possibilities.
So much to explore.
It's going to be amazing. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back to continue our exploration of this incredible field. All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dives into the world of Jure Leskovec.
Yeah, it's been quite the journey so far.
We've talked about his career, his research, the impact of his work, network science, AI.
It's all connected.
It really is.
Yeah.
But now I want to zoom out a little, see where Leskovec fits into the bigger picture.
The whole landscape of AI and network science.
Exactly. What are the big trends shaping this field?
Oh, there are a lot.
And who are the other rock stars in this space? Give me the AI all-star lineup.
Well, you've already mentioned graph neural networks.
Yeah, those sound like a total game changer.
They are, absolutely.
Combining deep learning with graph theory.
It's like next-level network analysis.
And the applications, it sounds like they're exploding.
Oh, yeah, they're growing like crazy.
So it's not just about understanding existing networks anymore.
Nope.
You're saying they can design new molecules.
For drug discovery, yeah.
Wow.
Create new materials.
With specific properties,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like designing the future.
It kind of is. And even generating completely new networks.
That's insane. So is Leskovec the only one doing this kind of stuff?
Oh, no, not at all. There are a ton of brilliant people pushing the boundaries here.
Tell me about some of them.
Okay, so one innovator is Leskovec.
Leskovec, okay.
She's a pioneer in statistical relational learning.
Statistical what now?
It's a mouthful, I know. And probabilistic graphical models.
I'm going to need you to break that down for us.
Sure. So basically, her research is all about bridging the gap.
Between what?
Between statistical AI and symbolic AI.
Okay, still lost.
Think about it this way. Traditional AI systems, they're great at crunching numbers, right?
Finding patterns.
Exactly. But they struggle with things like common sense reasoning.
Makes sense.
Or understanding complex relationships.
Okay, yeah. So Guido's work is about teaching machines to think more like us.
That's the idea. To reason about relationships, uncertainties.
Making AI more human, basically.
More intuitive, more capable of understanding the nuances of the real world.
I like it. Who else should we know about?
Another leading figure is Kevin Patrick Murphy.
Kevin Patrick Murphy, all right.
Expert in machine learning.
Of course.
And, you guessed it, probabilistic graphical models.
They keep popping up.
They're important. He's made big contributions to things like computer vision,
Okay.
natural language processing, robotics.
So he's taking these network science principles and applying them all over the place.
Exactly. He's showing us just how versatile and powerful these tools can be.
Very cool. Is there anyone else we should be paying attention to?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We can't forget Nando de Freitas.
Nando de Freitas, all right. What's he all about?
He's a big name in deep learning and Bayesian optimization.
Okay, so is his work being used in the real world?
Absolutely. He's had a huge impact on things like self-driving cars.
Wow.
And those smart personal assistants.
The ones that are always listening.
The very same.
Okay, these are some serious AI all-stars. It's amazing to see the impact they're having on our world.
It is. It feels like we're at the beginning of something huge.
Like a whole new technological era.
Exactly. But even with all this excitement, we can't forget about the ethical side of things.
Right. It's not just about building cool tech. It's about making sure it's used for good.
Absolutely. We've talked about bias, job displacement, the potential for surveillance.
Those are some serious issues.
They are, and we need to address them head on.
It's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And honestly, it feels a bit overwhelming, but it's also inspiring to know that there are people out there.
Like Leskovec.
Yeah, like him and his colleagues, working to make sure AI benefits humanity.
It's a team effort, for sure. And it's not just on the researchers.
They're saying it's on all of us.
Yeah, to engage in these conversations, ask tough questions, make sure AI is used ethically and responsibly.
I'm with you on that. This deep dive has been an incredible journey, exploring Leskovec's work, the power of network science.
It's amazing what we can do with it.
We've seen how it can be used to fight diseases, combat misinformation, even design better cities.
Network science gives us these powerful tools to understand and shape the world around us.
And Jure Leskovec, he's one of the leaders in this field, pushing the boundaries, inspiring others.
He's a true visionary.
I can't wait to see what he does next. So, as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of Jure Leskovec, I want to thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey and learned something new along the way. If you're interested in learning more about Leskovec or exploring the world of AI and network science further, head over to aivipeace.org.
They've got a ton of great information there.
They really do. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.